Now, as we go through today's session, if you have any questions, please get those questions typed into the question panel. I'll do my best to address your questions as they come up, if they pertain to what I'm covering at the moment. If I'm not able to get to your question right away, we'll have some time at the end of the session to review those questions. Please keep in mind you all have been muted. This is so I can be heard clearly. So if you have questions, please get those typed in. If I start getting too many questions, I'll start holding them to the end. Sometimes it's hard to keep up if they all come in at once. And also, that'll make sure that we have enough time to cover everything we need to cover. So again, if I don't get to your question right away, we're going to have some time at the end. For today's class, we're going to review the version 11 new features for EMR. And we're going to cover as many as we can in this 1-hour session. To finish reviewing the EMR new features, you can see our EMR Part 2 class. Also, as we go through today's session, we'll be demonstrating mostly on the web browser version. Unless otherwise specified, these enhancements and new features will also apply to the EXE. So let me open that up here. So again, the enhancements and features apply to both unless I specify otherwise. In general, the look and feel remains the same. So if you are familiar with version 10 EXE in the past and how to document a progress note, version 11 is going to feel very familiar. For the most part, it works the same way, except those enhancements and new features, which we'll be reviewing. Or if you were used to using 10E, which is the web browser version, you'll see that 11E is going to feel very familiar. Again, it keeps the same look and feel. It's just going to have some improvements. So if you were comfortable with the system before, you'll be comfortable with it again. Again, there's just some improvements that have been added, but the look and feel remains the same. And I want to stress that because sometimes a client, will have experienced a lot of anxiety and feel like they're not going to know what to do in version 11. But the truth is, you do. The functionality for the most part remains the same. There's just some enhancements. All right. We're going to get started in the progress note. So I've opened a progress note already. And the first enhancement is that a confidential option has been added on the HPI and social history sections of the progress note. This enables providers and nurses to mark certain information as classified. Information marked as confidential will not be printed. Let's say I print the progress note. So I'll demonstrate by going to HPI. So I'll click on HPI here. And I'll select a relevant category. And then I'll click Custom to customize that category. So you're going to see this confidential column next to the structured column. So if we mark it as confidential, it would be confidential. Again, if I print or I'm faxing this to someone, that confidential information would not be included. Now this feature is enabled by item key and disabled by default. You can contact ECW support to have the feature turned on. So if you're missing that confidential checkbox and you want to have that feature, please open a support case. So there's certain features that we'll mention today that are enabled by item key. What that means for you is if it's not turned on, you can have it enabled by opening a support case. Now I'll mention the item key code you can give for reference. While not mandatory, it will make it much easier for you to communicate what you need. The item key code to enable the confidential option is 2022. All right, next let's go to allergies. So in the allergies, they've made an enhancement so that when you're searching for drug-based allergies, it has to be from your drug database. So you won't be able to change this anymore to choose custom medications, for example. And here, let me go into EXE. So that applies in EXE as well. Notice on the left, you only have that RX category. Before, you used to have all of them. So again, what that means for you is you can only select medications from the drug database. And that's going to help in patient safety. In the past, if you were choosing a custom drug and that custom drug didn't have an NDC code, it did not get picked up in the drug allergy checks and could endanger patient safety. All right, another enhancement is they've added a criticality column to your allergies. So you can now select a criticality for each allergen as unknown, high, or low. They've also added an onset date. So you can add the onset date if desired. We have the logs added on the allergies window, enabling users to view any changes made to the patient's allergies. So you can see who created or deleted, updated an allergy, the user, date, and time, and any of the changes that were made. The next enhancement is related to the Vitals growth chart, which you can access from the Vitals screen. And growth charts work for patients up to 20 years of age. The growth chart now displays graphs for head circumference, height, and weight entered in metrics unit of measurement like centimeters and kilograms. Previously, the system only displayed them in standard unit of measure like inches and pounds. Another enhancement is made to your vision examination. A vision examination would be available for you to document in the progress note if your type of visit was configured to include it. The enhancement now enables users to free type the information into the fields of the vision tabs. So any of the areas that are outlined here. You can click into each field to type in your response. In the past, you were having to select your response. Another enhancement is made for liquid medications. As per the Meaningful Use 3 guidelines, the system now limits the users to prescribe all oral medications in only metric standard units of milliliters. A pop-up will display, like the one you can see here, when a user does not specify the intake information in milliliters. So it'll say unit of measurement should be in milliliters. Please re-enter the take. The next enhancement is enabled by item key. An item key has been introduced to display a calendar icon right above the follow-up field in the billing window of the progress note. This new enhancement enables providers to specify a follow-up appointment date using the drop-down calendar. The feature is enabled by item key. You can contact ECW support and refer to item key code 3069. So that allows me to select a specific date for the follow-up. Now, if that item key is turned off, instead of the calendar, you have these buttons like time frames. So for example, 6 months. With the item key enabled, those buttons go away, and instead I would have a calendar here. The next enhancement is tied to patient education. You can now access patient education from the assessment in the progress note. Previously, you could only access it from treatment or the common send. And first, let me add a diagnosis here. And you can access the education at the top. So next to the encounter physical hub, you'll have that education. So if you have a patient education vendor, like HealthWise, Staywell, Elsevier, Creams, Adams, SmartCare, then you'll have access to that patient education through here. And then from here, you can send or print any education that you select. I'm just going to close that for now. If you have a physician reference, you can also access that through education. Next, we have a new feature for implants that has been added to the progress note. So you can see it under the subjective by clicking implants. This would enable you to document patient implantable device information. So you'd be able to click add and choose implant or explant. This feature has to first be activated in the product activation page.